All right, and welcome to this journey through um one of my favorite indie not safe for work games. Actually, one of the very first ones I got into when I started this degenerate journey into NSFW games. But this one actually has content aside from gooning. But this is Memoirs of Battle Brothel, made by a solo indie dev. Dan's a great guy, made a great game. Story is very complex to me. I'm a casual guy. I love story though, so there is story to this game. There is gameplay. There's a lot to it. It's overall a great game. I suggest anybody check it out, and hopefully, if you're interested, you want to come across this video and you're watching it, see like, hey, you know, this don't look too bad, and start seeing the genius behind this. There is a game before this that's somewhat of a prequel. Help you understand the story a little better. Um, you do not have to play it. You can jump right into this one. So I did play a little bit after playing this, just so I can understand the story a little bit better. But there are some characters that pop in, or at least reference from that game in this one, and I'll elaborate on at least one of them for sure. But other than that, let's continue on and get started with the gameplay. I have muted the music again because it's just so loud. Alright, new game. And I know I said this earlier, this is a not safe for work game. And due to YouTube being YouTube and all that good stuff, I will be skipping through all the visual stuff, but the text I'll leave up because that shouldn't be a problem. No disclaimer, I have added some modifications to the game. Your base game, if you purchase this game or however you procure it, will look a lot different than mine's. I have added a lot of the picture files, mainly for the character I play as, um, and a couple other characters, just to little fine tune them to my desire. But that's just personal choice. All right, now moving forward to character creation. Um, Character creation may seem a little overwhelming at the start, but really it's not that bad. Just pick wherever gravitates to you, wherever you feel you can immerse yourself in, or if you really don't care, you just wherever. Um, your the choices you pick here will have some effect on the story and options you have to complete missions, but it's nothing we can't bypass. Or every mission and usually objective has at least two ways to complete it. I remember for the most part. Alright, so these are the backgrounds you can choose from: noble scion, be a former courtesan, grifter, street thug, cultist, corp floater, mercenary, or just a nobody. I've been playing this game for at least 3, 4 years. Can't remember exactly. I feel like some of these are newly added. Anyways, all they're going to do is give you some bonus stats, starting money, and affinity with certain factions. I believe there's around 6 to 8 factions in the game. We talk more about that later when we get to it. But again, it's personal choice. Um, Most, if not all, of these would give you a stat bonus, your core attributes. I would just pick wherever feels good. Like I said, I'm not going to be a courtesan. Now, that being said, former courtesan is the only one that I'm aware of at this moment. You have to pick a female body type to pick this background because it's a woman. As we get into lore, find out that courtesans is basically a woman's guild, and men used to be in there, but they're not welcome no more. And we'll get more into that later. For this one, I will choose. I've played a couple of these. I'm Cult, a good one. I'm going to be playing a mage melee build for this one. I usually pick cultists for the spirit bonus, but it really is, it might go more stats focus. Ah, shit. I mean, do that. All right. And then it's going to ask you to pick a faction. Again, personal choice. I'll give you a quick rundown. Guild progressives are a faction of the Corzens Guild that I want to keep things traditional. Well, sorry. My bad. That's what traditional are. Go anti-traditional. So Corzens Guild, they are not feminists, but they only want the guild to be mainly the females in control, female members. Um, and certain things like male associates to the guild not be able to have certain relations and acts with the female members of the guild. That goings on. Traditionalists, they want the opposite of that. They want to keep everything traditional, keep the females in charge and in power, make all the master decisions, keep the men out because men in the past have done some very dirty things to them, which causes this hate. But yeah, we'll get more into these two later on. Iron Cartel, whew, on paper, simplest terms, these guys are just bad guys. Um, I mean, when we meet their leader, you'll see they're just a bunch of pieces of shit. But do like the leader though. Stormbreakers, mercenary faction. The main leader of this one comes from the mainland, tied to the Imperium. they're kind of cool people, but it's mercenaries, so loyalty to certain money and cause. Or is it? We'll find out later on. Three Moons. This is a cult of, we'll call them mages. They're called shapers, but they're basically mages for any fantasy players out there. Um, we'll meet some representatives. There's actually a story tying too for you if you pick this one with one of our early companions. You get some early on dialogue with her. It goes a little bit into her backstory. Travis Mandate. These guys are basically the Men in Black. I shit you not. They they watch over and try to maintain this whole section of the world called the Abyss, and these things called anomalies that come out of there and wander into our world that can cause damage to everything. The Old Watch, these guys are basically a bunch of vigilantes that band together, pool resources. Now they have this like spy network of stopping like corruption, um, and like mega corporations from deceiving the people and abusing them. Which leads us into, yep, the next one, the Board. These guys are the mega corporations that run everything. So if you're familiar with Cyberpunk, this is basically the corpo, and this is most similarly to, kind of want to say it's like a mix between Street Kid and Nomad Path, Life Path. I believe I would just choose Three Moons. All right, combat class. You have Shaper, Soldier, Support, and Vigilante. Make this quick. Shaper is your mage class. Soldier is your front line. Tank / range or melee. Support is your, as the name suggests, support class. They heal, they debuff, they resurrect. Typical support white mage type stuff. And Vigilante is your DPS class. This is your front line glass cannons, your long distance range guys with snipers and guns. So, and you can swap your class later on in the game. I believe, I can't remember if it's within Act 1 or it was Act 2, but you do have the ability to swap your class later on. It refunds all your levels and points so you can distribute them. But I mean, these can be played anyway. You're freely able to distribute your stats to your attributes however you want. So stats that tie into Shaper is a spear stat. It's like your magic stat. Soldier would be like health and defense. Support, spear and defense. And Vigilante is like melee or range, evasion. So they're not locked to each of these classes. You could dump evasion all into Shaper, just be a shitty mage, or dump all into melee and just not even use your magic powers for DPS and just use them straight for utility. It's kind of how I play. And same thing goes for the rest of these. So Shaper, I like battle mage builds. Alright, so it's our most important stat. A bonus that we get, which is charisma. As for our attribute, class. And next we're going to choose an appearance. As you may notice, if you have played this game or get the game, you notice that this does not look like what you will have on yours. This is my custom created character that I put into the game. So yeah, as you'll see more. Another thing to mention, you will notice duplicates of these sprites as you roam the world. It was just a design thing the game designer did. Like I said, solo dev, understandable. You know, he's making some living off of this and he does everything by himself. So I'm not expecting him to just make it to where this guy right here is the only one in the whole world. Gotta do it. Let's go ahead and pick our body type, which should be 7. There I go. All right, and now we get to pick a talent bonus. This is basically a bonus to our attributes. These are the 4 main attributes. You have athletics, perception, charisma, and technology. You'll get certain options in quests and missions to overcome obstacle or access a shortcut and skip having to do like a fetch quest, if you will. Athletics let you bully your way in something. Perception, you'll be able to see a different route or object. Charisma, you can smooth talk someone into giving you something you need for a mission. Technology is basically your hacking or computer or robot repair. I'll just say right now, if you want to skip a fight early on in the game and you didn't pick a class that gives you athletic bonus already, this is a good one to pick. But we're actually going to do the first combat because that's free XP. XP isn't that hard to grind either, but yeah. We will go with, personally, charisma and technology are the main ones I really tell people to get, because you will see a lot of options for these two. The rest do come in handy, especially perception, because you will need it for you start doing contracts in the overworld. But yeah, we'll just do charisma. All right. Went back and had changed a couple of things because I misclicked on one beginning character creation option. But now we. All right, now it's just telling us how we can change our perspective. In case you don't like certain orientation. All right, we have control. See, I'm gonna change this a little bit, like better. weapon play with. Alright, so we go up to epic bar, crit, our combat skin. Alright, so before we continue, a little bit about why we are here and what we are. We are facilitator for Guild Hall, our own Guild Hall, along with Diana over here. So our job is basically you're basically a manager, glorified manager of this Guild Hall because we're male. We don't have much other control other than that. Don't outrank Diana or be her boss or anything like that. She is her own separate. She is a guild king. She's basically like the chief of the guild of this guild hall. She's not the leader of the overall Corzens guild, but in this small sector, she is the leader, and we're basically her right hand man. All right, moving on. Some C's and that. Items. There are hidden items. This game, traditional RPG stuff. So clicking walls randomly and items you think might have something sometimes reward you. I'll point out the ones that I remember, but just two. Possibly. You want to be mindful of what you say to your companions because there's a trust level system. I've never gotten to low where they hate me, thankfully. But try to use whatever sense you have about what you say to them because if it gets too low, I don't know what happens. I don't assume they leave you, but you do get locked at a certain relationship quest from them and bonuses. So Alright, as you saw right there, we just had a stat check. So because I had a level in my perception stat, there it goes. So because I have a level 1 in my perception stat, I was able to detect what just happened right there. If not, enemy will snuck up on me. So there'll be plenty of those stat checks throughout the game. So just try to distribute your stats best you can, a little evenly, a little somewhat balanced. You don't have to specialize in anything. Highest level check I believe I've seen in this game is level 7. You see my charisma is level 4. If you want to talk about end game, I'll try to have at least 5 athletics, really just 5 in everything, and 7 in charisma. Hey fellas, totally don't like guys that's gonna rob me later on. Right. Alright, so we can explore the little station here. There's not much to do. Discover here. Talk to some of the NPCs. There's no items, if I recall. Continuing on, we just talked to Diana. Yeah, now I want all the smoke. So you can talk them down, depending on your stat placements. You can get away with a quick knockout based on your athletics, or your charisma's high enough requires more than high enough at this point in the game. I didn't realize I dumped up that high. Saved me some trouble later on. You can avoid this fight, but I'll go ahead and show a little bit of the combat right here. Alright, go ahead and place. I'm not gonna lie, we are very freaking twitching at the start, and still lose this fight right here. Not careful. And yes, I did change the battle image. It looks different. It's more like what this icon picture is for the sprite, but I did change it because everybody else doesn't rock a suit, so I didn't want to rock one. Look like the fucking Power Rangers. As you see, combat is random. It's based off your stats, but honestly, it's, to me, it seems a little bit more random based off the stats. I've had some high evasion reaction on my vigilante builds, and I'm still only going like second some of these enemies. But that's more later game. So. Alright, so quick rundown. Obviously, you got your move right here. The blue blocks is where you can move to. The light blue blocks is your vision. So, yeah, good sniper. You can snipe a lot. Features are your class skills. What features they're calling this? They are. Some of them are one-time use, as this one right here. But they'll get one that can be used every turn. Well, correct. All of them are one-time use, but you use multiple of them single turn. See later on the playthrough. Gear, based on what your equipped weapon is, you'll have certain gear skills. This one we can shoot rapid fire, do a close combat strike, or a point blank shot, or precision strike. Each different move has different special features to get from using it. As we get certain weapons, we get certain weapon skills. Like there's one that can instantly decapitate the enemy. Basically, it's an instant kill, but it has low rocket. And lastly, you have your class-specific skills itself. To me, being a shaper or mage, I have magic. And it'll say vigilante, support, or soldier here. And then momentum, as we level up, go down your skill trees, you'll have ultimate abilities that fill up off this MP bar right here. When you get to a certain level, like 25, 50, 7500, you'll be able to use a skill that you've unlocked. Which I don't think we are till later on. Last we just have the item right here. And then scan, all this does is tell you a breakdown of the enemy's weaknesses and strengths. I really don't use. After a while, you can just DPS your way through, especially if you do some early grinding. In the overworld, get a couple levels on your belt, get money for one, and buy some better weapons. I'll blow through a lot of these guys. But enough talking. Let's go ahead and move on. I would like to insta kill some of these guys. Let's drop them. And we'll move. Alright. Diana is a shaper. She's a mage just like me in this case. So I don't believe she can shy. More than it needs to be. Rain. Get somewhat closer. Back up. I'm all out of SP for my skills. I can use my class feature, drain some of my health to gain some of it back, but it's not that serious, honestly. I'd rather just run up on dude and just knock him out. And it's also out of MP. She can. is the range. Range. Boom. Shot. There we go. Alright, match over. Then you get some items and some XP. So combat's real simple. Difficulty scaling for some of the missions, since there's no like level requirements. You have to be careful. You can blow through the story too fast and you end up hitting a wall. You go from fighting enemies like that have 10, 50 health like just now, and you'll end up fighting ones with 80 health, 150 health, 200 health, all because you blew through missions too fast instead of doing side content. But I'll show you how to work around that. Alright, we're into one of our main hubs in St. Gorfu, one of the main locations you'll be running back and forth to the game. So we have our train station here. This is how we do most of our fast travel, not going to overworld. We have the weapon shop right here where we get weapons, armor. Doctor's clinic where we'll buy first aid items like pots. This is a shop we will access later. I believe this is just decoration. No, my bad, I'm lying. I believe we will be able to access later. Some part in that too. But yep, this is our main area. This is where we mainly be hanging out from time to time. And then up here is our guild hall. First, let's talk to this guy right here. This is a somewhat important character. Not so much to the overall main story at a base level, but he is an important character. And that was a little talking he'll do with us. We'll see him later on. Alright, and now we're in control of our guild hall. Walk around, talk to some of C's, meet some of the characters we'll be working with. In the future, I'll be giving short little breakdowns of characters, certain main characters, get a little more information for them that you guys can skip. But for now, this is Zafra, as security. Got our bartender here, which right now, but will in the future. It's cool. A couple other courtesans we'll meet later on. Always such an effed up bird in this situation. Alright, that was Core, another one of the main cast members of our little band here. We'll talk and meet more about her later on. Very soon, in fact. This is Diane's office. Diana's office all the way up in the hall. It's her room. And this is another example of based on what your background choices, you have certain dialogue options to pick. Sadly, I did not pick cultist. I didn't pick the option. Which I actually like the dialogue interaction we have. With Diane, option with I'm not going. All right, and head to our room. Sleep. Tori is one character I do like. Pretty sure she becomes everybody's fan favorite as you go through your playthrough. I ain't gonna feel like you guys can see anyways. Alright. So we'll probably end the episode off here. Before we get into the next main part of the introduction. But thank you guys for watching if you made it this far, and can't wait to see you on the next one.